This is Earth. For centuries, in the name of civilization, humankind has built structures and systems to control the land we inhabit, and at a rapid pace, molded this planet to align with our ideas of progress. We've done so with curiousness and ingenuity, but we've also done it without the foresight to know that there's no such thing as an infinite resource, that taking and extracting cannot happen infinitely without giving something back. It's become clearer that our drive to innovate must never crush the care and respect for nature if we want to continue having a place in it. We're at a turning point now. Biodiversity loss is accelerating, and so are the consequences of climate change. Established democracies are collapsing, and racial injustices surfacing. As the globe paused, old designs were thrown in stark relief to be more than just cracks, but fundamental life-changing eruptions. These eruptions aren't harbingers of doom, but inflection points for change, presenting new opportunities, new topographies, new perspectives. From increasing citizen action across the globe to authorities, companies, and people being increasingly held accountable, new ways of seeing are coming into being. It shows us that designing to improve quality of life is on the agenda of not only the minority, but the majority. The Index Award is the world's first sustainability design award, and since 2005, we've celebrated and been inspired by designs that transform the way we will live, learn, and work tomorrow. While we celebrate the victories now, we need more than prizes and accolades in itself if we have to save the world. The Index Award is an accelerator for change. We believe that design can save us, and we're asking you to join us in the fight for a better future. The Index Project is our common project. Are you in?
Hello, everyone. That's loud. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Index Awards 2021. We're happy to see everyone who made it here today, and, of course, everyone who is watching online. The Index Project is an organization that has, for the past 19 years, supported, heroed, and nurtured projects from across the globe that create real, sustainable change. Tirelessly striving to amplify the power of ideas and designs for the good of people and the planet. Over the years, winners have included the likes of Solar Foods, who create food from electricity and captured CO2, ethical blockchain platform Ethereum, and Sky Urban vertical farming system. Next year, the Index Project will be celebrating its 20th year. And suitably, it's complete with a number of firsts. It's the first time we're live streaming the ceremony, as well as the first time we've ever had a distributed award season with 10 days of design to improve life, an event each day running up to this. It was a good opportunity to connect with people, and so many wonderful people, and smart, impact-driven individuals across the globe who are changing the world for better, from designers to investors to CEOs and to students. But why? Why distributed? Why this year? Well, yes, there is an elephant in the room, and hopefully, of course, not this room. Yeah, COVID. Its effects have been devastating, decimating lives, livelihoods and communities, but it's also been transformative socially and culturally. It's been a seismic shock, meaning space was made for important conversations to be had, but also for possibilities to become opportunities for change. This isn't to say everything is fine. Clearly, it isn't. But the only way to address a problem is to see it, and the only way to fix it is to design it. So what has happened in 2021? We've had both the United States and the European Union, the world's second and third largest emitters after China, set tougher CO2 emission-cutting targets. And we've seen countries pledge to cease building new coal-fired projects. And we've seen increasing adoption of sustainability practices from companies and brands across the board, across the world. So that's great, right? But we've also seen forests and lakes continue to be decimated, growth of crops through warming, and we've also seen an increasing number of extreme weather incidents across the globe, from forest fires and floods everywhere, from Vietnam to Australia, California to London. What do? Clearly, retreat is not an option. And of course, most of us won't be ticket holders to lead the charge beyond the stratosphere. And I'm sure not everyone likes red all the time, right? So there's that. So that only leaves us with one option. And that option is action. And that's what we have on display here. Across the categories of body, home, work, play and learning, and community, the nominees have all taken action and brought truly life-changing work and ideas to life. And that's what this is, an opportunity to applaud those who take action. And doesn't that deserve applauding? Should we give them a round anyway? Everybody? That felt good, didn't it? Yeah. But that's not why we're here. So, without further ado, let's find out who the finalists and nominees are for the Index Awards 2021, starting with the category Body. Let's invite up Veronica D'Souza and have a look at the nominees.
Alginet, renewable and sustainable yarns made from kelp. Dots, attachable motion trackers to help people with disabilities use digital interfaces. Hegenberger speculum, redesigned speculum for improving postpartum suturing of genital trauma. Margot kit, new sexual assault kit simplifying evidence collection and victim involvement. Neuralink, the first neural brain implant to control electronic devices. We, non-hormonal contraceptive reinforcing women's natural pregnancy barrier. Ponto 4, a bone-anchored hearing device for 360-degree sound. Robust Nest, newborn incubator saving babies from hypothermia deaths in sub-Saharan countries. Simple, fast-free software to manage hypertension patients in India, Bangladesh, and Ethiopia. Space Hippie, high performance and desirable sneakers made from factory scraps.
Hello, good evening, everyone. You can't imagine how wonderful it is in a world of apathy, of global interconnected issues, to actually get to look at all these amazing solutions and how much joy and passion and belief that gives. So I'm very honored to introduce the winner of this year's body category for the Index Award. The winner is we. Are you here? Please get up on stage.
Would you like to say a few words? No? Okay. Okay.
You don't have to. You can. Wait. No. You have to stay. You have to stay. I'm just going to take this out. Okay. So you need to hear why that the jury chose you, we, as a winner. And everyone needs to listen to this. So we is about reproductive justice. And this solution is changing the image of contraception. Women for too long have not had the right choices, and living with physical side effects of hormone-based birth control has been the status quo for too long. Approaching reproductive rights from a non-hormonal point of view is smart, and to use the body's own natural defenses to aid birth control is both innovative and it's needed. It's clear there's a lot of potential, and scaling this to women across different income settings gives women the freedom and control that has for too long been limited or out of reach. So we is a beautiful and innovative design for women, and it carries an important message and an essential design that empowers by starting with giving women full ownership of her body, as well as the power of choice. Please give a grand applause.
All right. Can you hear me? Yes. So I want to say thank you to all the women that helped me in this journey. We've talked to more than 2,000 women. And it is really my belief that we're ready for a new contraceptive that is on demand and it's non-hormonal. And we just use the natural barrier that we already have inside us. Thanks a lot to the team that has helped us. It's not me, I just put the gloss on the cake. So it's the engineering, it's the mucus engineering, and it's the designers, and together we can change the world. So thanks.
It has been a neglected area for decades. Last groundbreaking innovation happened more than 60 years ago with the introduction of hormonal contraception. And it's been great, it's really been liberating, creating economic freedom. But it's also clear that the side effects of hormonal contraception are serious. It's a very systemic drug, and there's need for a better alternative, something that provides great efficacy with no side effects ideally, and at the same time a great user experience.
This is a product that is a gel that is encapsulated as a little capsule you can put on the finger. You insert it vaginally, and after 1 minute, it works for up to 5 hours. It protects you from unwanted pregnancies, and your finger works as an applicator, so it's almost designed as a non-product. It's a product that's not there after 1 minute. The product itself, it doesn't contain any unnatural chemicals, any odors.
We is a non-hormonal contraceptive that's taken on demand, and that works by reinforcing the barrier properties of the cervix, of the mucus in the cervix. So inside the woman's reproductive tract, there is already a natural barrier to sperm. It's called cervical mucus. And typically throughout the menstrual cycle, it's a very good barrier. It doesn't allow much sperm to go through. It's only around the time of ovulation that loosens up, it hydrates, it loosens up and allow some sperm to go through. So we're really leveraging a barrier that's already there, which is simply making it stronger. And by reinforcing something that's already strong, the barrier that's already strong, we can reach very high efficacies, right, that have not been seen before for non-hormonal contraceptives.
One aspect around contraception is that users are young and healthy, which means side effects are really unacceptable. So that's one of the core things around the technology. The other aspect, of course, is it has to be very effective. You have to be able to trust it. But then finally, it's also very much about the user experience. It's an intimate moment, and you want something that's unnoticeable, convenient, and just works in your everyday life. And that's why we integrate design so much into the use of the product and the whole design of the product.
In this company, we have design as a cornerstone of the company, and I think it is really unique that we have an iterative process where the most important voice is the users, and then it's our task to go to the lab, go to my design lab, and then combine all of that into a beautiful synergy of users' voices, design, and technology.
So good. So next up is the category of home, where we've also been spending far too much time, I'm sure, but thankfully not now. And we're going to have, do you remember, Martin Pedersen Beckman presenting that. Or not? No? No. Marley Pedersen Beckman presenting home. Thank you.
Oreos. Solar panels made from upcycled crop waste. Dave. Financial app service allowing paycheck advances with low overdraft charges. Flash Forest. Effective reforesting using aerial mapping, drone technology, and ecological science. Lunark. Moon habitat designed for humans to thrive in space. Lasso. Smart home recycling station that repurposes waste into high-value new products. Proxy address. Turning vacant homes into addresses and new beginnings for homeless people.
And the winner is Flash Forest. Our natural environment, our shared global home, is in a state of emergency. Regenerating forests and planting trees is an important way to mitigate climate change and sequester carbon dioxide. Flash forests provide a solution which is globally applicable, that contributes to regenerating lost ecosystems from forest fires, as well as advancing the rewilding efforts by collecting and making sense of local data. It's not just a simple way of using technology for context-specific interventions. It also leverages ecological science to unite and amplify efforts among local stakeholders. A healthy planet is the primary and most effective condition to enable healthy communities. Our natural environment is our shared global home, and Flash Forest has the ambition to preserve and restore it for generations to come.
And I have a quick thank you statement before you see their film. Thank you to the Index Project for selecting Flash Forest's design for using UAV-based reforestation technology to plant 1 billion trees by 2028 as the year's winner. We are hopeful this award can inspire more novel solution designs needed to reduce atmospheric carbon and repair nature, two of our most time-pressing challenges. Yes, and let's see.
Looking at the disparity between deforestation and reforestation, we only replant about half of what we cut down globally. About 15 billion trees are cut down each year, and the amount of deforestation is increasing due to wildfires, due to disease such as pine beetle, spruce beetle. So the demand is constantly going up. So we are a company that is trying to scale reforestation. So we're doing this with artificial intelligence, drone technology, ecological science, and it's a lot of general innovation and engineering to bring automation into tree planting and to bring this worldwide so that we can increase the rate of global ecological restoration and also pull out as much carbon out of the atmosphere as possible.
Our design is really driven by the needs of the ecosystems that we're planting in, and this ranges from considerations on the type of species we plant, the densities we plant, as well as the methods that we are able to rapidly deploy. So there's several pillars to our technology. We have our hardware, which comprises of our drone technology, meaning our mapping, our planting drones, all the hardware that we converge with them in order to deploy our seed pods effectively. And then we have our seed pod production technology, which will allow us to scale our efforts around the world rapidly. And then we have our software pillar, which comprises of macro, microsite detection.
Our focus is climate change, and then secondary is biodiversity. Both of them are kind of two key focuses of our company. So we're trying to pull as much carbon out of the atmosphere as possible to try to mitigate the impact of climate change, mitigate the rate of climate change. Years like this year where we had the hottest temperatures on record, we had to, it affected our results. And so this is also something that we're thinking a lot about and how to make these seedlings as resilient as possible so that they can make it through that first year and that second year and develop into a healthy tree.
We don't want tree planting to become a guilt-free ticket to continue producing large amounts of CO2 where people throw some money at this effort and then continue business as usual. So our goal is to plant 1 billion trees by 2028 without stopping there. By bringing innovations from areas such as artificial intelligence, we're able to tap into new creative approaches to tackling this problem and hope to inspire others to think creatively about ways to solve problems as well. Sometimes it's not as complicated as you think, and by investing in simple, scalable means of solving climate change, we can kind of all do our part.
Well done, Flash Forest, repopulating the land lungs of the planet. So, to the next category, we have work. And for this one, we have the jury member, Anna Smith, presenting the nominees. Yeah.
Biome. Environmentally regenerative and natural insulation grown from mycelium. FarmDroid. World's first fully automatic robot taking care of both sowing and mechanical weed control. Potrero Digital. Providing quality training in the digital sphere to low-income Latin American communities. Reglove. Recyclable gloves to counter the massive disposal of single-use gloves. Sehat Kahani. Telemedicine platform bringing female Pakistani doctors into the workforce. Spatial. unique virtual spaces for immersive collaboration between co-workers. Tembu, environmental data collection platform gathering communities and inspiring action. The Billy System, garment plant in Hong Kong recycling excess textile without any use of water or chemicals. X-Vision Spine System, first AR navigation system for surgeons to visualize patients' 3D spinal anatomy.
And this year's winner of the work category is Biome. Is everywhere. And they're some of the biggest organisms in the world. The invisible building blocks that aid the way we live, create, and work. They do magical things, and everyone can work with it without sophisticated equipment or dangerous side effects. The building industry is one of the industries with the largest environmental impact in the world. And with limited recycling and often harmful side effects for the workers, sustainable insulation is critical needed anywhere, both in cool and warm climates. This is a unique opportunity for a level industrial playing field where everyone can contribute in a sustainable and circular economy that can create meaningful work across the world. Biome is an opening a door to a tremendous opportunity where application of mycelium can be used in other areas. We're just scratching the surface in creating our environment using power of mycelium.
Well, one of the biggest challenges to address, the climate crisis is just understanding that people perceive things in a very different way. And it's changing that perception, changing that kind of psychology of how we interpret a resource can really lead us towards addressing the major climate crisis issues that we're facing. So as a company, we are driven by the genius of nature, and that kind of approach to only allowing nature to lead innovation and only having a regenerative impact on everything we touch is manifested in everything we do. And one of the main products we are commercializing at the moment is our mushroom-based or Mycelium Insulation. It's a building insulation product that is outperforming all of the major synthetic and natural alternatives on the market, and it is actually carbon negative and has a huge health benefit as well. So we're kind of ticking all the boxes, we're hitting all of the sustainable development goals with a product that is, natural and created with nature.
Mycelium insulation, or mushroom-based insulation, is made using fungi, which is, and particularly mycelium, which is the vegetative root structure of mushrooms. If the mushroom is the fruit, mycelium is the root system that sits in the topsoils and binds the topsoils. The role that mycelium plays in ecosystems is that it allows plants to communicate with one another and exchange nutrients. It's truly the nature's internet. So when working with a living organism, it's truly about collaboration. You're no longer a designer, and it's no longer just a material. It is actually almost an equitable or equal collaboration with so-called material that you're trying to create something with, which I personally think is almost like a privilege of you as a maker collaborating with the material that you're making with, which is beautiful.
Because nature spent billions of years evolving all these incredible technologies and feats of engineering, it's just a huge bank that hasn't been tapped into, maybe because we've been delusionally thinking that we can do it better. But the reality is, over billions of years, you can achieve so much more than we have in the kind of few seconds we've existed in the existence of the universe.
we're now at a different age or at the brink of an era that is different, that is where we probably hit the limits of the technologies we've developed. We've seen what those technologies have led to, the climate crisis, to the collapse of all the ecological systems. And I believe that profession of design has now a responsibility and opportunity to tap into a different type of genius, a different type of technology that is inspired by and is led by the beautiful sophistication and gentleness of the natural world. And I think there is a whole universe out there for designers to tap into and to learn from.
I would say that our Mycelium Insulation is the perfect manifestation of nature's genius. It really embodies, how we can make a huge impact in the climate crisis without compromising on building performance.
Hello. Yes, amazing, amazing. Mushroom magic. So good. Edit, come on. Yeah. But it's great though. It's too easy, isn't it? But next up, we have play and learning. And let's find out more about that, about the nominees, and of course the finalists with Philip Botten. Okay.
AI Learning Helper. Digital teacher helping kids to learn how to read in a fun way in their own environment. Biodesign in high schools. Educational project bringing design thinking and biotech to Colombian high schools. Lego Braille Bricks. Lego bricks to help children with visual impairments learn the Braille system. Sana Labs. Personalized AI learning tool for continuous education in the workplace. The Uncensored Library. Utilizing a digital loophole in Minecraft to sustain and protect press freedom. Toys for Quarantine. Open source platform providing free do-it-yourself toys focused on creativity and sustainability. TruePic. Groundbreaking tech to authenticate images and videos and combat fake media.
Hello everyone. My name is Philip and I have the honor of presenting the winner of Play and Learning. The winner is TruePic.
passionate about what we do, like all of you, we have learned that what we see and hear online in visual media has real life effects. We date people, we buy things, we go to places, and even we make informed decisions on who we vote for, what we think. All of this adds up to our shared sense of reality. We need to restore trust in what we see and hear online because that has a very real world effect on our shared sense of reality. And that's what we're trying to do. Thank you so much.
And from the jury, this is their winning rationale. Like he said, deepfakes and AI image manipulation tools have an unprecedented impact on the integrity of the media, democratic elections, and social interactions in society at large. TruePic's provenance technology ensures integrity of photos and videos from the point of capture to help establish authenticity across news, social media, and more. TruePic is a compelling solution, paving a path towards truth and subsequently restoring trust among all of us. Thank you so much.
We are unfortunately entering a world where we can no longer tell whether images were created by light entering a camera lens or if images were created by computers. And that should be pretty scary to anyone out there that's looking at digital photos and videos. If you can't tell whether it was synthetically generated by a computer or if this was actually a real event that transpired, we're in a lot of trouble when we think about trust online.
We started TruePic about 5.5 years ago, and the premise was really that seeing is no longer believing when it comes to the internet. This is a problem that was bad then. It's grown dramatically over the past 5+ years, and it's trending to get much, much worse as time goes on. There was really nothing out there that would give you any sort of verification or validation that, seeing was believing, that what you were looking at, whether it was a photograph or a video, was accurate, that the time and date was accurate, that the actual pixels in the image were accurate. So we set about restoring trust and faith in visual information on the internet.
One of the things that we focus on very heavily is making the experience for the person capturing as seamless as possible, so they don't have to think twice, about how to use the camera app, such that it doesn't depart in any way from what they're used to. And then also, as well, on the verification side, on the display, right? So when we display one of these authentic photos or videos to customer, we've gone through several iterations of, again, what is the level of information that's part of the file that we can take out, and then how do we represent it to the viewer, so that they can get the right signals right away from the photo or video.
Our long-term mission as a company is really to enable every mobile application and every smartphone to capture high-integrity photos and videos. Our belief is that if everyone has access to that technology, then everyone can capture, share, and display information with universal trust. Our belief is that instead of being the arbiter of truth on whether things are real or fake, if we can be the data integrity layer for digital photos and videos, we can ultimately communicate that information to consumers and help them restore trust in what they're seeing every day. Congratulations to TruePic. 2 million images already verified in over 150 countries. Very impressive. So, the next category, as you can probably already see here, community. So let's find out about the nominees, and of course the finalists and the winners from
AgroSystem.
from Anna Valtonen.
AgroSystem. Organic coating preventing fungal pathogens and extending the life of fresh produce. Algorithmic Justice League. Combining art, research, and education to show the social implications and harms of AI. Amsterdam Circular Strategy. Ambitious strategy to make the entire city of Amsterdam circular by 2050. Cabios Enzyme. Enzyme breaking down PET, allowing for infinite recycling without quality loss. Climacell. Transport solution protecting perishable goods without unnecessary plastic waste. Energy Observer. Expedition vessel generating hydrogen and sailing for energy autonomy. GraphCore. Intelligence processing units driving the next advances in machine intelligence. Heliogen. Solar capture solution proving a viable alternative to fossil fuel-reliant industries. Marina Tex. Flexible packaging film made from fish waste. Paboco. Recyclable paper bottles aiming to disrupt the packaging industry. Planetary Computer. Global database combined with AI to help society tackle environmental challenges. Planet Positive Textiles. Freshwater-free clothing manufactured in symbiosis with nature. Proteus. Futuristic underwater station for unprecedented marine research. Sodofridge. Mobile electricity-free refrigeration system for transporting critical medical supplies.
So, time for community. Community, I think it's the thing that we've all been missing, right? These at least a year and a half. So it's maybe, I'm biased of course, but it's probably the most important category, right? It's, are you ready to hear what the results are? We've seen a great amount of finalists, but now it's the time. So in community, the winner is the Algorithmic Justice League. Who's actually thinking about the second, third, and fourth order effects, right? So mitigating the harms and biases of AI, it's important right now, but it will be increasingly important in the future. So unless we react now, we will not reach equality, diversity, and inclusion in society. But instead, we might actually carry forward centuries of discrimination and amplify the underlying biases in any of our future solutions. So through the combination of art, research, policy guidance, and media, and advocacy, the Algorithmic Justice League is opening our eyes to just how biased the data we use is, and is leading a cultural movement towards an equitable and accountable AI. Congratulations.
And unfortunately, they couldn't be here today, but I have a thank you speech from them. On behalf of the Algorithmic Justice League, thank you so much for recognizing our work. We are truly honored to receive the Index Award 2021 in the community category. Like the Index Project, the Algorithmic Justice League celebrates creativity and diversity as a catalyst for innovation. We combine arts and research to illuminate the social implications and harms of artificial intelligence and to raise awareness of AI's impact on our society. We thank you again, and we hope that you will join us on the movement for equitable and accountable AI.
Artificial intelligence, a way of solving complex mathematics in milliseconds, has turned into an invisible driver of progress. In just 60 years, it evolved from a field of study to an integral, irrevocable cornerstone of our society. But the pursuit of an ever more powerful technological intelligence often fails to reflect on the broader perspectives needed to make universal AI trustworthy, accountable, and ethical. The goal of training an egalitarian AI is unachievable when it's programmed with datasets embedded with a past of racial, social, and economic inequality. And the ramifications of this are showing. Those who are erased by the tacit biases of faulty data are among the most vulnerable. Facial recognition systems, in their current iteration, deny people their humanity. We are at a critical point of no return for an AI-free future. So we have to face the reality and the limitations of both the systems and the data, as well as our foresight. The holy grail of automated objectivity, skewed by unconscious bias. The Algorithmic Justice League was born from this injustice. When founder and poet of code, Joy Blumwini herself was denied an identity in the digital world, she dedicated her research to uncovering the hidden biases of AI. Today, Algorithmic Justice League as an organization highlights, challenges, and calls to fight the social implications of AI. They do it through art, policy, advocacy, diverse datasets, education, and reporting. It's human nature to continue to explore, grow, develop, and improve. And for far too long, we've blindly trusted technology to take us to the next plateau. But now we know the devastating consequences of an unregulated and erroneous technology in a world where software can dictate the safety and well-being of millions, if not billions of people. To build resilient communities and societies for the future, we need to make our tech and hold our industries accountable to building just and inclusive technologies. We need to have artificial intelligence that is not only overseen and regulated, but designed to ultimately reduce harm to marginalized groups. To make sure that those people engaged with training AI are aware of the contextual biases of data and conscious of their own pitfalls. We need to protect our human rights, celebrate diversity, highlight dignity, and include everybody along in on this journey. We need a platform like Algorithmic Justice League that creates awareness around how we design, build, and sustain more equitable AI systems.
Wow, just wow. Redressing potential dystopian horizons. So good. And next, we have the public's choice, the People's Choice Award. Super exciting. And to present that, we have jury member Alejandra Almenbar. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The Index Awards People's Choice Award is a celebration of the designs that made an impact on our communities' hearts and minds. From the iPod, to sleeping bags designed for homeless people, and from smart highways to temporary tattoos for kids with diabetes 1, this year, 46 incredible finalists were in the running, and the index community has cast its votes. And so, the winner is Lunark.
We built this thing and tested it for 100 days in the Arctic. My name is Sebastian, that's Carl, and this is our tech guy, Simon. And me and Carl, we lived inside of this thing completely alone for 60 days. And I think that was less scary than standing here on stage today. But that's fucking amazing.
Yeah. I just think, to me, it's very telling that we are so fortunate to win the People's Choice Award, because we were massively invested in this project, but it was also a project that was enabled by, thousands of people around the world who helped us through Kickstarter and with expertise and knowledge, and just made us able to go all the way to one of the most remote areas on Earth. So it's just incredible that it's also the community that then helped us to be here and win this award. So thank you.
Yeah.
What they said.
Big round of applause for Lunark. Okay. So now is the time for a break. It's been amazing, amazing nominees, amazing winners. It's been so exciting. But now, short break. We'll resume in 40 minutes, so go take a walk, have a drink. I think the hot dogs are out there now, I'm not sure. And maybe talk about the future, and see you around 9:20. But then there'll be a keynote from Airbnb co-founder and chief product owner, Gebbia. So be back on time for that. There's a whoop, you can get a whoop in there. Bit of applause as well. All right. See you shortly. Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. It's time to return to your seats. Hope you've had the opportunity to have a bite, have something to drink, lubricate, so to speak. Okay, so welcome back. I hope you're ready for a keynote from designer, entrepreneur, and co-founder of Airbnb, Gebbia. Round of applause.
Wow. Well, thank you, Jay, for the introduction, and what a treat to be here in person. It's so great to be together after a year and a half of being apart. And being in this city again, I was reminded just how beautiful and how well designed The city is, Index could only happen in Copenhagen. I want to start by congratulating the winners. To the We Project, Flash Forest, Biome, TruePic Vision and Foresight, Algorithmic Justice League, and Project Luna by Saga Space Architects. I want to say you represent design at the highest level. Design that aims to make the world better. I think to be recognized by Index is almost always the result of years of rejection, of perseverance, of a commitment that is beyond human comprehension. I also want to congratulate everyone else here tonight, those incredible nominees, the judges, the funders, everyone within the organization. We're grateful for what Index has done over the last 20 years to elevate design into global conversation. And happy anniversary. I want to talk to you as a designer who has achieved a certain degree of impact. I don't really like that word because it's become a little bit jargony to me. But to me, what it means is influence, is positive outcomes at scale. I want to talk about my evolution as a designer, which has forced me to learn things that I thought have nothing to do with design. But these things have everything to do with impact, with scale. And they have everything to do with you leaving this room tonight and changing the lives of millions of people. So I have about 12 and a half minutes left. I hope what I say is helpful. In grade school, as a budding young prodigy, I remember seeing paintings in art history and thinking, I want to make art that people will remember forever. I had visions of buzz, of galleries, of being famous. I had so many ideas that I had no way to get them out. So I decided to go to the Rhode Island School of Design to study painting. And then I discovered the work of these two amazing brothers named Charles and Ray Eames. They did furniture, films, architecture, a splint for combat victims. When I saw how they channeled their creativity to solve problems for people, I stopped wanting to be a painter. I was mesmerized by their ethos of democratizing design, of reaching the greatest number of people with the best design for the lowest price, in a way that could be replicated over and over. I eventually learned that Charles and Ray weren't actually brothers. They were married. Did you guys know that? Inspired by the Eames approach, I want to talk about how I went from being a person designing an accommodations website to someone designing for trust and making people feel welcome. In 2007, my roommate, Brian, and I were living in San Francisco. We quit our jobs to become entrepreneurs when all of a sudden our landlord raised the rent 25%. We found ourselves weeks away from being evicted from our apartment, and we needed to make some money quick. A design conference was coming to town, and hotels were sold out. I wondered, where would people stay? And then I noticed something, all the unused space in our living room. I also realized I had 3 airbeds sitting in our closet unused. Why not inflate them and rent them out to people in our living room? There was so much space in the corner next to the couch. It was just unlimited space in our living room. And the concept of airbed and breakfast was born. We ended up renting our mattresses to 3 guests who slept on the floor. We picked them up from the airport. We gave them breakfast. They had the time of their lives. And we made just enough money to save our apartment. We discovered a need for hosts who wanted to make extra money, for guests that wanted to save money and have a local experience. So it took an entire year of all-nighters to discover one small problem. No one else seemed to like our business. Revenue was a dismal $200 a week. We were stuck. We tried to raise money, and we failed miserably. We maxed out our credit cards, and then by chance, we met a startup guru, and he became our mentor. One of his first questions was, "Where are your customers?" We said, "Well, we have about 30 hosts in New York." He goes, "They're in New York? What are you doing here?" At this point, I say, "I'm working at my desk." My partners and I had bought into the Silicon Valley mindset, which places a kind of religious belief in the power of code and engineering. That if you engineer the right code and design the perfect product, the heavens will open and you'll achieve these miraculous levels of scale and growth. Now, as a young entrepreneur, I found clues for success all around me, even in films. I found a pillar of wisdom from Kevin Costner in the movie Field of Dreams. What was that? You just saw Kevin Costner in a cornfield with some mysterious voice coming from the heavens telling him if he builds it, they will come. He's trying to build a baseball field. I can tell you from my experience, at least, is that when you build something new, they don't come. You have to go out and meet them, the people who are involved in your idea, which is exactly what our mentor was telling us to go do. And we were, you could say, resistant. Fairly practical, too. We had no money for plane tickets. We had no money for a hotel or even an Airbnb. But mostly, it just seemed kind of stupid. We had a website to design. We had mock-ups. We had wireframes mapped out on a whiteboard. It just seemed obvious that the smartest, most logical next thing that we could do was to stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep working to figure shit out. As a designer, my mindset was a designer designs. Anyway, we went to New York City, and it turned out to be fascinating. We never imagined the reality of the actual humans who were using our product. We're sitting there in their living rooms, watching them navigate our impeccable website on their own laptops, using their own browsers, which include, by the way, Internet Explorer 8, which we never designed for and didn't imagine anyone ever actually used. And most of the departments turned out to actually be really nice, but you'd never have known it from the quality of their photos. They'd taken thumbnail photos from their flip phone cameras of bathrooms with the toilet seat up, the kitchen with dishes in the sink. Would you stay in any of these? How shocking that nobody was using our website. So I'm sitting there and I'm noticing all these personal details. And I realized that it wasn't coming through in the listings. And I came to me and said, well, we're going to have to get some professional photographers because normal people aren't professional photographers. So before this trip, sitting at our desks, we thought that we were the design gods. We reluctantly agreed to come down to earth to see how the mortals were using our groundbreaking interface. Up close, it was a train wreck. We started incorporating fixes based on what we saw. Immediately, after 6 months of zero growth in terms of users and revenue, sales jumped from $200 to $400. I was certain there was a bug in our system. We showed these results to our guru, and he asked, "What are you still doing here?" We went back to New York. We met more hosts. We learned much more about what we were doing wrong, and we hired photographers. We improved our review system. And again, revenue doubles from $400 to $800. This kind of hands-on observation and interaction completely reoriented my idea of the design process. It didn't replace our vision. In the end, this kind of up-close involvement with the consequences of my design became the most powerful influence on my imagination. I know every decent design school teaches the importance of making prototypes and testing and getting feedback. And what I'm talking about goes way beyond that. As a designer, you need to maintain a strong point of view. That's our job. And for us, as problem solvers, this approach of understanding the consequences of our design means listening and connecting to each part of it, from the manufacturing and the distribution to every participant, even when it's uncomfortable. That's also our job. This is a famous diagram and a drawing by Charles and Ray Eames. It's depicting the kind of holy grail insight I'm talking about. Each of these shapes on the screen represents the interest of the designer, the client, and society as a whole. The Eames goal was always to be right in the center, to combine all the points of view. To me, this holistic point of view seems like the only reasonable model for designers who hope to benefit society. Their entire approach was defined by this vision. Before they designed a piece of furniture, for example, they talked to potential customers. But they also talked to the people who would be fixing it. Where would the replacement parts come from? How would the object affect the larger environment? This approach to their design made their vision stronger. So take, for example, their most innovative, revolutionary contribution to design. The iconic Eames lounge chair. This, of course, I mean, how many of you have sat in one of these before? How many of you have loved putting your feet up and resting on the ottoman? As the story goes, they never described their process as designing a chair. Rather, they called it designing seating. They didn't think of the object alone. Instead, they thought of the user and the context simultaneously. They later explained that had they been designing a chair, they never would have included an ottoman. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy hit the US Northeast, displacing thousands of homeowners. The next day, we get an email from one of our hosts who's offering her room for free. This is kind of like in a spontaneous, unofficial kind of way, the idea grew. And we said, well, why don't we try to use our platform to help people in times of crisis? In 2015, our host offered their homes to people after the earthquake in Nepal. In 2016, when the migrant crisis here in Europe began making regular headlines, we asked, how might we help? On the idea level, enabling hosts to provide humanitarian housing seemed brilliant. But the complexities were enormous. Our company expertise is to connect people with safe, comfortable, short-term housing. This allows our partners like the International Rescue Committee to focus on longer-term housing. But the nature of crisis situations is that they're always different. We had to learn how to host a completely new kind of guest. People who aren't choosing to travel, but are forced to leave their home. What are their needs? What are the nuances? What are the consequences of our actions? We haven't always gotten it right. This is a picture in California in 2018 after one of the deadliest wildfires. One of our hosts sheltered a guest who lost their home. 2 weeks passed. When their stay was up, they had no place to go. We didn't know enough about the situation, and the host contacted us, devastated, because they were basically forced to eject this person into the night with no idea where they'd be sleeping. We had to take responsibility for this. On August 26th, a month ago, we committed to providing housing for 20,000 Afghans displaced by the US withdrawal. Working on this international level means dealing with a constantly changing landscape of language, cultural, religious, and logistic considerations without screwing anything up. So to get a sense of this scale, here's a picture of a stadium full of 20,000 people. Impact means finding them housing. Impact means making them feel welcomed in a new country. As a designer who likes to think of himself as a problem solver, this feels great. But this is one issue out of hundreds of problems that are all over the world, existential problems, problems that need solving right now. To the We Project, your groundbreaking alternative to standard hormonal contraceptives, congratulations. To Flash Forest and your innovative approach to reforestation, congratulations. To Biome, for taking the urgent need for biodegradable building materials, thank you. To TruePic Vision and Foresight for restoring trust in online images, congratulations. To the AJL for taking on the implicit and future biases of artificial intelligence, congratulations and thank you. For Saga Space Architects, winners of the People's Choice Award, for pushing the boundary of both space transport and habitat, congratulations. If our designs aren't good for society going forward, we've failed. But it's going to take more than brilliant design to make our planet better than how we found it. I want you to be successful. I want you to be faster and better than I've been at getting out of my brain to see and feel the consequences of my ideas. As hard as it is, we have to remember to leave our desks, to enlarge our vision by staying connected to the real-world impact of our ideas, so that we as a community can rise to the challenge of index, to use our designs to improve life. Thanks again for including me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks so much to Joe Gebbia for that amazing keynote speech. Amazing, so inspiring. So we have the great opportunity now to have a panel discussion with 3 of the winners of tonight's awards. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Marie Lin from Body Award winner We, Sana Bonda from Biome, and Munir Ibrahim from TruePic.
Would you like to be in the middle?
As you like. Of course, okay. And Sebastian from Lunark, would you like to come up as well? Yeah. So it's quite an amazing and large congratulations to all of you. Amazing work, incredible, so inspiring and innovative. But how does it feel to be awarded for your work? I think maybe start with you, Asana. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it feels incredible. Like all of you saw me melting down. It just shows how much it means to be recognized in this way. Myself and my team in London, I wish they were here, but I can speak for them as well to say that it means a lot and it feels incredible. Yeah, we've been knocking on the doors for a number of years, and to be here, to be recognized, it's phenomenal. Thank you.
And Munir, how do you feel?
Likewise. I would also add the word affirming. You know, as all of us are technologists or entrepreneurs, and you build something and you go after something that you're passionate about, not everybody sees it the same way you do, you know, and we think that trust in what we see and hear online is not just good for business or good for media, that it is existential to the future of society. And winning an award like this is really affirming to our team that, okay, there's a lot of other people who believe this to be true, and it just allows us to double down our efforts on it.
Yeah. that's like, I think there's something kind of really amazing to be said about the sense that there's like, I guess, an additional kind of like drive and motivation that comes out of the back of this, like a sense of being seen, and that there's a kind of additional kind of validity to it. Like it's brilliant. And Marie, what about yourself?
Yeah, I would say that's okay. No, it's very nice to be acknowledged for hard work, but I think it's also super cool because there hasn't really been any innovation in contraceptives for 60 years. That was when the birth control pill was introduced. So just the fact that now Index Award are acknowledging that it's time to make a change, I think that's super nice and rewarding for the team and for the world.
Sebastian, anything to add to that?
I don't think I need to add anything. I think all of above, but sometimes it's really tough doing the things that we do. And then it's just really nice with a shoulder clap. Yeah.
So, you know, the great thing about everything that you are all doing is that it's a sense of like pushing the needle in some ways. But obviously there also feels sometimes, I don't know whether you might agree with this, that it still feels like there's a bit of a leap, a bit of a jump, a lot of movement still to be made. So how do you think we move from, you know, where we are now to like more sustainable change going forward? Maybe Marie, do you want to?
Yeah,
Your
so
thoughts?
of course we try to produce a product that's sustainable, but I think it's also radical to also focus on your sexual sustainability and your well-being, because it has, for a lot of us, been under-prioritized for years. So with we, I think that we can push the boundaries of also saying it's about reproducibility. We like to reproduce ourselves. I'm pretty good at it, but I also like to be able to not when I want to study or when I want to work. So I think the fact that we can actually choose when we want, it's sustainable. It's a sustainable change for us.
And I also realize there's some, like a certain element of kind of like, I guess, not quite biomimicry, but a sense of kind of engaging with nature, which has kind of been a recurrent theme almost within both the nominees and of course the winners. And I think there's something quite interesting in that. And I kind of think, do you believe this is kind of the way forward already? So this is something about like kind of like returning or looking back in nature to kind of move forward and innovate? Asana, maybe you want to say something about this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. For us at Biome, at least, and for me personally, biomimetics or biomimicry, like you said, is definitely the future. But not going back necessarily to indigenous way of design. However, looking at that, because we as humanity used to be so close with the natural ecosystems, we knew more about them, and there was so much more balance, equilibrium, and symbiosis. We've come away from that. I think we can go back to relearn that appreciation, because what governs the natural world or the planet is a life-for-life kind of currency. We've forgotten about that. And I think it's going back to indigenous way of designing to learn that wisdom, and then taking what we have developed, the amazing ways of computing and technology, and building on the biology's capacity for novelty, disobedience, monstrosity, evolution, and working with nature from now on. That excites me.
And Sebastian, obviously, there's something about kind of like engaging with nature in one way or another within the work that you've been doing with your team. What are your kind of thoughts going forward?
I think every time we do a project and we work with space, it's a constant reminder of how great Earth is. I feel very certain when I'm saying that this is the best place in the entire universe for humans. It was actually not a joke. Here we go again. But we look at nature as the first thing. Nature for us is actually, we just steal design solutions from nature because it's been designing for millions of years through evolution. So if we can just steal an idea and say it's ours, then we try and do that. Yeah.
We do the same.
But, you know, and also kind of in some ways, it's also like, you know, the communities in which we live in and the ideas of trust and the connections that bind us fundamentally in some ways can be thought of as, to kind of like a little tick on the kind of the name that you have said, biome, in some ways is kind of like a kind of a community, a social biome in some respects. And I think the ways of kind of reconnecting those or kind of reinstilling a sense of trust and the connectivity of the tissue, especially within the world in which we live in, is incredibly important. And of course, that's obviously what TruePic is doing. But I kind of wonder with TruePic, what's your next steps? What are your thoughts? Where do you intend to go the next 3 to 5, so to speak?
Yeah, no. And to your point, you know, while I do consider human nature part of the nature discussion, and relaying that trust between humans is critical. And what our goals are in the short and medium term are to empower as many people as possible to capture, disseminate, and view provenance-based or trusted or authenticated-based media so that they can make decisions, financial, personal, or trust decisions online every day at higher increasing velocity. So that's our plan, and that is to move our technology into any application and eventually directly into phones. So when you buy your next phone, you will go from landscape to portrait to secure mode, which was actually previewed on the short video.
Great. Because I'm also kind of thinking, like, how radical do you think innovation needs to be, or adoption of innovation needs to be, for us to kind of live on this planet, which is the best place for humanity, so to speak? Yeah, Sebastian, maybe start with you.
Adopting innovation. I don't know.
It's a big question. I do apologize.
I don't know what needs to happen. I think we naturally adopt innovation. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Asana?
Yeah, I think it was an interesting point about how radical innovation needs to be. I think it's pretty radical already. I think there is no lack for amazing technology out there. But I think what I personally would love to see is the symbiosis of all these technologies. And not just that, also the rest of the stakeholders that make innovation possible or bring it to the world or let it have an impact. And that includes the policy, down to the individuals, because we can vote, and we can vote with our currency as well, and we can vote by choosing the right solutions and the right innovation. So, and all of that together brings and makes innovation radical, because technology, there is no lack of it, and we can make more, and we can develop more, but it's these other pieces that need to come together to make a change.
It looks like you want to say something, Minute?
Yeah, I was going to add, I think it's a really great question, and I've learned at some points the hard way, where you want to, your initial goal is the radical goal. And your product teams, your engineers are going to say, oh, well, we have to make that gradual. So my answer would be, I think your end goal should always be radical. You need to have primary, secondary, and tertiary goals along the way that are going to be steps. Eventually, you're going to wake up and you are going to, hit the scale of Airbnb, but you're going to start with those first homes in New York. And I think that would be my answer. You need to have primary and secondary goals along the way to eventually hit the radical goal.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that's really insightful. I think there's kind of a sense of there being kind of an iterative process. But, you know, I think also kind of realize that there's, you know, that often the narrative that we have is like, you know, the earth is on fire, we need to kind of like get it, like put it out as soon as possible, and make like real major changes. And Osana, of course, you said on some way on the policy level, of course, that needs to be kind of looked at. But how do we, just in your kind of just, again, totally your opinions, like, what do you think the kind of the main movers or changes would feasibly be? Would it be a case of there being group action around this, or is it about kind of, again, perhaps from Muni's point of view, it's about kind of having the veracity of good, true, understandable, non-doubt-inducing material? Is it like what would the first steps in your minds be?
Yeah, so now what we're doing, we're in the lab a lot, and I go up with the users and I show them prototypes. But of course, I cannot ask them to use them how you would sleep on a couch, because it doesn't really work that way, not yet, at least. So we are unfortunately limited by regulatory authorities, and it's also about building trust, because we also, when we launch the product, we want to make sure that it's trustworthy, because that's one of the main drivers in our product, is that it's trust. It's not only trust, like there's a barrier, there's a natural barrier that doesn't make the sperm go through and make you pregnant, but there's also trust between your partner, and there's also a very intimate zone. So so that change, I think it's there. People are ready to show us the trust, but we want to trust them back, and that takes time, because we cannot put it on the market until that we know that it actually works, and it doesn't harm you, and we live up to the standards and the FDA regulations. So it's really a boomer for my creativity, but I think it's good, because then you don't only trust me, you also trust the science.
And Osana, I guess you must have something relatively similar in some ways, in some respects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That would probably be, I would second what you said. It's it's the trust, and it's such a radical material or such radical technology, and it is a like-for-like replacement for something that's already on the market, yet it's grown, you know, as an insulation fan. So I remember when we just started a journey through certification of that product in the UK, I was laughed at when I phoned to try and organize some testing in the labs. Because when I was trying to describe that it's mushroom-based insulation and we grow it, you know, to people that have been testing injected foams and the rest of it. So, but that is changing rapidly. It's no longer the case, and there's so much appetite and curiosity and desire, and it makes sense now to a lot of people. So it's a good time to be alive and to be in innovation right now. So.
And yeah, I think it's applause. And do you feel like, obviously everyone's been working on their projects and their kind of work for a while now, but do you feel there's more of an appetite? Of course, we're in this forum here, and everybody here wants to engage with impact, and that's amazing. But do you feel this, in the broader spectrum, there's like a larger kind of appetite for kind of real sustainable, impact-driven work? Sebastian, your thoughts?
I mean, yes. I know the interest in space for us is, we wouldn't have been able to do the things that we do maybe 8 years ago. I think it's not even an interest, and if you talk about sustainability, it's not even an interest, it's kind of a demand now, which is good. And I also want to say one thing about space architecture. I really mean it when I say that we use space architecture as a loop, as a kind of a magnifying glass, Because all of the, let's say a problem like sustainability in outer space, the consequences of not being sustainable with your resources in outer space are quite immediate. If you don't manage your resources, your food, your water, your oxygen, you die. And therefore, it's a really good exercise to learn how to be resource efficient. And we also learned a lot about that in Greenland. And we realized that some of the solutions that we make for space is actually completely applicable here on Earth as well and fit within some of these goals of sustainability. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Marie?
Well, I think nature dictates a lot, and it has always done, and we still follow the rules from the nature, and we will in the future, because now we're just trying to work with the nature and deriving the good stuff from there and try to keep away from what is too poisonous, or at least if you can put it inside a wall, then it's okay with me. But so I think that's awesome.
And Asana,
Kind of lost track of the question.
yes,
to be honest.
that's fair enough. Yeah. No, it was just saying, okay, like, outside of this room, contextually, do you feel there's more of an appetite for sustainable and impact-driven kind of activity and initiatives, fundamentally?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it has been said, I'll just second that. Definitely, it's a need. It's not really an appetite. And actually, this is what that has been. It has been interesting for us to see, because we've been fighting the fight for a while, and then now we see the rest of the world turning to us to ask what's the solution to all the problems. So yeah, because it's a need, it's no longer just a desire. But there is more to do, and that's where maybe the interest that we are talking about. So sustainability is the need, but there is interest in far more wholesome way of being and doing, which is more biomimicry or biomimetic, which is beyond sustainable. It's not just about surviving or what should be done, but how do we regenerate? How do we not take and not pollute, but we take and then we give back more? And that ultimately is wholesome being, not just sustainable being, which is very exciting. And that's where maybe interest is. Yeah.
So, there's also something that kind of comes out of a lot of these conversations, which seems to align with a kind of a sense of, there's a kind of a discussion around circularity and, of course, like giving back more in many ways, if we can. And I do wonder whether any of you have any kind of like thoughts on the idea about kind of like creating kind of like more circular kind of patterns or circular businesses that aren't just, that's away from extractionism in many ways, right? And I know obviously, Sebastian, you're talking about living in space, so you need to be quite clear with the resources you have, because it has very clear consequences, and arguably we said the same here. But how do you feel about the kind of, I guess, the movements and the kind of the trend towards kind of a more circular approach to creation and innovation and work?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I honestly, I don't know too much about it. Yeah. I don't watch it very closely. I think we are kind of very focused on the things that we do right now. We also 3D print. We just 3D printed the largest concrete house in Scandinavia, and there we are working with recycling broken old bricks from buildings like this, and putting it into the concrete mixture. So we are trying to look into possibilities like that, but really we are very focused on what we do. I don't know too much about circular design.
But I would love to kind of dive into it a bit more, but I realize we've only got 5 minutes left, so I'm going to ask the last few questions here, which is, what's next for you guys? Like, what are you going to be doing after this? Super exciting. Asana, what's next for you?
Changing the world, as always. Yeah, I don't really have with every day, every week, every month, that's ultimately the goal. And anything that we do is just with that goal in mind. So all the technology, all the innovation, with an eyeball always on the idea and the goal of changing the world. Simple.
And Munir?
Quite similar in that every day we live, eat, and sleep image authenticity. And what that actually means is we're identifying ways in which we're deploying the technology that are adding value now, and then we're looking at the next verticals, the next industries, the more ambitious areas. And we envision in the very near term to be empowering everybody from peer-to-peer marketplaces to war crimes documentation in some of the world's most difficult conflict zones, all to relay and disseminate truth online.
Marie?
Yeah, our next goal is to get some money, because we're running out. So isn't that always a thing? But besides that, we're testing it in animals. Hopefully, we're gonna do. Yeah, we also try to talk to the partners of the people who are using it. But then we're gonna do clinical trials, hopefully in a year. So when we've done that, we really can predict if it's gonna be on the market in 5 years. So that's what we're aiming for. And also, if there's anybody who wants to talk to me about contraception, I'm always curious, and could be the guys and the female participants, because we're in it together. So I always love to talk to people who can help me develop my work.
Woo. And Sebastian?
I hope that the Index Award might help a little bit with the funding.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, but we went to Greenland. Right now we are making our next habitat based on most of the experience, and earlier today we had a design review, and I know that the team is sitting at the office a kilometer from here, following this. So we are working very focused on that, and then we also we learned a lot about what we could do better. In terms of well-being for future astronauts, and we are figuring out ways to do more prototypes here on Earth to get closer to that goal. Yeah.
Well, really, I think from everyone here and everyone watching, and actually the world, thank you all for everything you're doing. Big round of applause for everybody here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So,
yeah.
Yep.
We can leave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Such an amazing, I'm kind of mind blown by just the sheer amount of just brilliance I just shared the stage with. Now we have a few words from the CEO of the Index project, the inimitable, the amazing, the brilliant, fantastic Lisa Chong. And
thank you, everyone. Distinguished guests, this week I heard two very thought-provoking talks, both very different, but with messages that resonated deeply with me. The first I heard was Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's speech at Humboldt Forum in Berlin. In Chimamanda's powerful keynote, she highlights the need for taught histories within Europe to face up to its recent colonial past, a past that is commonly omitted and problematic. If we can't address our past, we will continue to find it hard to move on from our painful histories. What I love most about this speech is that she talks about the opportunity to think of the future as a project, a common project. The second talk I reflected on was on BBC Radio 4's Thought for the Day with Angela Tilby. She talked about a recently published report about young people and mental health and high levels of anxiety and depression among girls, largely due to the use of social media. She refers to the theologian and writer Paul Tillich, who talks about the human vocation as the courage to be. And for those who live with mental health distress, fear and depression, every day requires courage to face the world. What was very inspiring to me was that the talks on very different subject matters pointed to the same conclusions. The reminder for us to have courage. Courage to be, coupled with the seeking of hope, feeds our human spirit. Our human spirit can be undefeatable, resilient, adaptive. Our human spirit is why we're here today, to fuel our imagination of what is possible, to admire and to inspire, to learn and to grow. Improvements are what we strive for. It's what drives my team and me. And improvements start with ideas. To design is to change, moving one reality into another, making ideas tangible, humane, a powerful way to form the future we want. Change can start small, and by small, I don't mean inferior or underwhelming. Small steps are ambitious, and they can be incremental, leading to transformation, and thereby truly life-changing. This is why the solutions that we have witnessed tonight, from biomaterials challenging the fashion industry, to natural coatings that prevent food waste at the source, to an underwater research station allowing aquanauts to investigate the unreached parts of the oceans, to the solutions fighting taboos and empowering women across the world. These are so needed in the world. And why Index Award as a global index remains to be our beacon of hope. Through each cycle, it shows what the power of human spirit and creativity can do to transform the lives of people and our natural environment. And we need more solutions. I stood here on this stage 2 years ago, and very shortly after, the world underwent an existential crisis. The global pandemic affected us all. It took away lives and livelihoods, stopped us in our tracks, but we learned in the process and are still learning to adapt to our vulnerabilities. The metaphor for the vulnerable state our world is in couldn't be clearer. And we're here today because we are committed to addressing it. The Index Project is our common project for a better future. It's our vocation and our courage to be humane and to work hard in partnership to make the UN SDGs attainable through solutions. Solutions provide us hope. So I want to thank the designers, the entrepreneurs, the leaders who represent that hope and making hope tangible. Thank you for being the example and responding to these critical challenges and allowing us to learn from you. I want to express my gratitude to our guest of honor, Joe Gebbia, to my team, my board of directors, and the jury, and our stakeholders here. Thank you for your tireless support, guidance, and having faith in us to carry this mission. We represent no interests, government, commercial, or individual, only the interests of people who are on a mission to make an impact through their solutions. And your support is needed to keep our ecosystem alive. Partners, donors, sponsors, educators, you all have a role to play in ensuring we continue bringing ideas to life to ensure wider, inclusive benefit for all. We need solutions if we are to work towards a resilient, regenerative, and thriving future. We have to respond and do difficult things. But may we find comfort in that courage deep within us. Change is difficult. Change is challenging, but change is constant. And that is why we need the grit and the drive to go against the grain and design the world into a better one for everyone. For everyone in the room and at home, your actions and ideas are moving the needle, taking those small steps in the right direction through innovation, through collaboration, through courage. Thank you for being with us tonight. Stay with us. Stay well. See you soon. It's time to get back to work. Thank you. Thank you.
One more round for Lisa Chong, please. So, that's it. Thank you to everyone who's been involved in this. The finalists, the nominees, the speakers, the sponsors, the board. But give a round of applause for the Index project team who helped put this together as well. And last but not least, everyone in this room who all focused on making a real impactful difference in the world. Big hand to you as well. Thank you. Okay. Well, see you in 2 years. And as Lisa so succinctly said, it's time to get back to work. Ciao. Thank you.